General Richard Stone watched his niece's helicopter on the radar screen. "She has the evidence," his aide reported. "If she reaches Denver, she won't." Stone picked up the encrypted phone. His own brother's daughter, the girl he'd bounced on his knee 20 years ago. "Fire when ready." The rocket-propelled grenade tore through Sarah Mitchell's helicopter at 3,000 feet. She screamed as fire consumed the cockpit. Atlas howled, shrapnel ripping through his flank. The aircraft spiraled toward the frozen mountains. Stone set down the phone. "Inform Captain Harlan. No survivors. Not the pilot. Not the dog. No one." He walked away without looking back. Before we continue, please subscribe to our channel and stay until the end. This story will change how you see loyalty. Comment below which city you're watching from, so I can see how far this story has traveled. The helicopter was dying, and Sarah Mitchell knew it. Flames crawled across the control panel. Smoke filled the cockpit. Every alarm screamed at once, a symphony of mechanical death that drowned out her own thoughts. "Come on! Come on! Come on!" She fought the collective with both hands, trying to force the crippled bird to respond. The rotors stuttered, caught, stuttered again. 3,000 feet of empty air stretched below them. Atlas whimpered beside her. Sarah glanced at her partner 7 years together. 400 missions, the only creature on Earth who had never let her down. Blood matted the Belgian Malinois' right flank where shrapnel had torn through his vest. "Stay with me, boy. Just stay with me." Atlas's amber eyes met hers. Even now, even bleeding, even dying, he was trying to protect her. His body was pressed against her leg, shielding her from the flames. "Good boy." Her voice cracked. "Such a good boy." The helicopter dropped another 100 feet. Sarah's mind raced through options. Emergency landing was impossible. The terrain below was nothing but jagged peaks and frozen forest. Auto-rotation might work if she could stabilize the descent, but with one engine gone and the other failing, another explosion rocked the aircraft. The second engine died. No! The helicopter plummeted. Sarah had seconds, maybe less. She made a choice. She unbuckled her harness, threw herself across Atlas, and wrapped her arms around him. If they were going to die, they would die together. The trees rushed up. Impact. Everything went black. Derek Stone was cleaning his rifle when he heard it. Not the storm he'd grown used to, the blizzard's howl over 3 winters in these mountains. This was different. A distant boom followed by the unmistakable whine of failing machinery. He set down the rifle. Ghost, his 5-month-old German shepherd, was already at the door. The sandy brown male's hackles were raised, his ears pricked toward something beyond the storm. Spirit, Ghost's sister, joined him. Smaller, darker, with eyes that gleamed like amber fire. She whined once, high and urgent. "I hear it," Derek murmured. He moved to the window, but the blizzard had swallowed everything beyond 20 feet. White oblivion in every direction. Ghost barked sharply. Spirit scratched at the door. Derek had spent 20 years in the Navy SEALs, 15 of them in combat zones, where listening to your instincts meant the difference between life and death. The dogs were telling him something. He grabbed his thermal jacket, his tactical boots, his medical kit. Slung the rifle over his shoulder. Checked his compass. "You want to go out there?" He looked at the dogs. "In this." Ghost barked again. Spirit was already pushing past Derek's legs, desperate to reach whatever she sensed in the darkness. "All right." Derek opened the door. The wind hit him like a fist, driving ice crystals into his face. "Let's go find them." Come. The hike was brutal. Derek had survived worse: the mountains of Afghanistan, the jungles of Colombia, the deserts of Iraq. But this storm was something else. The wind screamed at 40 miles per hour, driving snow sideways with enough force to blind. Ghost and Spirit moved ahead, their silhouettes barely visible through the white chaos. They seemed to know exactly where they were going, following some trail Derek couldn't see. He trusted them. He'd learned to trust dogs more than people years ago. 20 minutes. 30. His muscles burned. His lungs ached from the cold. Then Ghost stopped. The dog stood at the edge of a ridge, staring down into the darkness below. Spirit joined him, and together they howled a sound that cut through the storm like a knife. Derek reached them, dropped to one knee, and pulled out his thermal monocular. The image resolved slowly through the falling snow. A helicopter. Or what was left of one. The fuselage had split in half on impact, its tail buried in a snowdrift, its cockpit wreathed in dying flames. Debris scattered across the mountainside like broken bones. Derek's jaw tightened. Nobody could survive that. Ghost barked once sharp and insistent. "I know, boy. I know." He started down the slope. The smell hit him first. Burning metal. Aviation fuel. Blood. Derek approached the wreckage with his rifle raised, checking for threats, before checking for survivors. Old habits. The kind that kept you alive. The cockpit was destroyed. Glass-shattered controls, melted seats torn from their mounts. But there in the center of the chaos was a shape that didn't belong. A woman. She was slumped against the remains of the pilot's seat, her body curled around something. Blood covered her face, matting her brown hair to her cheeks. Her flight suit was shredded, her left arm bent at an angle that made Derek's stomach turn. He reached for her neck, searching for a pulse. There. Faint. Fluttering. But present. "Hey." His voice was rough from the cold but gentle. "Can you hear me?" "Hey." No response. Derek was already assessing the damage, probable concussion, definite fractures, possible internal bleeding. She needed medical attention, and she needed it hours ago. Then he saw what she was protecting. A dog. A Belgian Malinois, massive and muscular, lay beneath the woman's body. The animal's right flank was torn open, shrapnel wounds that had bled freely before the cold slowed the flow. One of his front paws was twisted wrong, but his eyes were open, and they were watching Derek with an intensity that stopped the seal cold. "Easy, boy." Derek showed his palms. "I'm here to help." The dog growled. It wasn't a threat, it was a warning. "Stay back. She's mine." Derek understood. He'd seen that look before, in combat dogs overseas, in his own animals when they sensed danger. This wasn't a pet. This was a partner, a warrior. "I know," Derek said softly. "I know you're protecting her, but she's hurt, and you're hurt, and if I don't get you both out of here, you're both going to die." The dog's growl faded. His eyes searched Derek's face, measuring, weighing. Then slowly, he lowered his head. Permission granted. "Good boy." Derek exhaled. "What's your name?" He checked the dog's collar. A tag gleamed in the firelight. "Atlas, K9 Unit, Aspen Police Department." "Atlas." Derek nodded. "That's a good name. Strong name." Atlas's tail moved slightly. "All right, Atlas. We're going to do this together. You protect her while I carry you both. Deal." The dog's eyes met his. Deal. Getting them out of the wreckage was a nightmare. The woman, her nameplate said Mitchell, was dead weight. Unconscious, unresponsive. Her body limp as Derek maneuvered her through the twisted metal. Atlas was worse. The dog weighed at least 80 pounds, and every movement made him whimper with pain. But he never snapped, never bit, never showed anything but stoic endurance. Derek finally got them both clear of the helicopter. He laid Mitchell on the snow, checked her pulse again. Still there, still fighting, and then turned to Atlas. "I'm going to carry you now. It's going to hurt, but I need you to stay quiet. Okay? Can you do that?" Atlas looked at him. Derek lifted the dog into his arms. Atlas's entire body tensed. A whimper escaped his throat, quickly stifled. His teeth clenched against the pain. "I know. I know, buddy. Just hold on. Derek settled Atlas against his chest, then bent to lift Mitchell over his shoulder. The combined weight was staggering, probably 200 pounds of human and dog. He'd carried more in the SEALs, but he'd been younger then, and the terrain had been better. Ghost and Spirit appeared from the darkness, their eyes bright with concern. "Lead the way," Derek told them. "Back to the cabin. Go." The dogs turned and started moving. Derek followed one step at a time, carrying two dying souls through a storm that wanted them dead. The trek back took forever. Derek lost track of time, lost track of distance, lost track of everything except the rhythm of his boots in the snow, the weight on his shoulders, the warmth of Atlas's body against his chest. The dog never complained, never moved, just lay there trusting Derek completely. It was the kind of trust that broke something in Derek's chest. He'd felt this before, in Afghanistan, carrying his brothers out of ambushes, dragging wounded teammates through enemy fire. He'd lost count of how many people he'd carried, but he remembered every single one. Ghost and Spirit stayed close, circling back periodically to check on their master. They seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. Their usual playfulness was gone, replaced by a focused intensity that reminded Derek why he loved these animals. Finally, he saw the cabin. The lights were still on, the fire still burning through the frosted windows. Home. Derek kicked the door open and stumbled inside. He laid Mitchell on the bearskin rug near the hearth, then gently set Atlas beside her. The dog immediately pressed against his handler, sharing his body heat despite his wounds. Ghost and Spirit rushed forward, sniffing the newcomers with anxious curiosity. Nova whimpered and licked Atlas's muzzle. Scout brought his nose close to Mitchell's hand, then barked once sharp, urgent, demanding attention. "I know," Derek said. "I'm working on it." He moved fast, stoked the fire until the flames roared, grabbed his medical kit, checked Mitchell's vitals again, weak but stable. Then he turned to Atlas. The dog's wounds were severe. Shrapnel had torn through his flank in 3 places, and his front paw was definitely broken. Blood loss was significant. "You're a tough one, aren't you?" Derek murmured, cutting away the matted fur around the wounds. "Taking all that damage and still trying to protect her." Atlas's eyes never left his handler's face. Even now, even dying, he was watching over her. "She's lucky to have you," Derek said. "I hope she knows that." He worked through the night. Sarah Mitchell woke to warmth and pain. The warmth came from a fire crackling nearby, its orange glow dancing across unfamiliar walls. The pain came from everywhere: her head, her arm, her ribs, her soul. For a moment she didn't know where she was, didn't remember what had happened. Then it all came back. The explosion, the helicopter, the ground rushing up. Atlas. She tried to sit up, and agony exploded through her chest. "Easy." A man's voice, rough but gentle. "You've got at least 3 broken ribs. Moving fast is a bad idea." Sarah's eyes focused. A man sat across the room, cleaning a rifle with practiced hands. Hard face. Beard trimmed close. Eyes the color of gunmetal, alert and watchful. He looked like someone who'd seen too much and forgotten none of it. "Who are you?" Her voice came out as a croak. "Where am I?" "Derek Stone. You're in my cabin." He set down the rifle. "Your helicopter crashed 3 miles east of here. I found you in the wreckage." Atlas. Sarah's heart hammered. "My dog. Where's my dog?" "He's right beside you." Sarah turned her head, and relief flooded through her so fast she nearly sobbed. Atlas lay on the rug next to her, his body bandaged, his eyes half closed. But when he sensed her attention, his tail wagged weakly. "Hey, boy." She reached out, ignoring the pain, and touched his fur. "Hey, sweet boy, I'm here." Atlas licked her hand. "He's hurt bad," Derek said. "Shrapnel wounds, broken paw, probable internal injuries. I did what I could, but he needs a real vet." How long have we been here? 6 hours. The storm's still raging. No way to get you to a hospital until it breaks. Sarah processed this information. 6 hours unconscious. A stranger who'd found her in the wilderness, carried her through a blizzard, saved her life. Thank you, she said. I don't know how you found us, but my dogs found you. Derek nodded toward 2 German shepherds watching from the corner. Ghost and Spirit. They heard the crash. Sarah looked at the young shepherds. They stared back with intelligent eyes, their tails wagging tentatively. They're beautiful. They're stubborn. A ghost of a smile crossed Derek's face. But they've got good instincts. Sarah turned back to him. You said my helicopter crashed. That's not exactly true. Derek's expression didn't change. What would you call it? I'd call it being shot down. Sarah's voice hardened. Deliberately, by someone who wanted me dead. I saw the damage, RPG military grade, not exactly standard criminal equipment. No, not standard at all. Derek was quiet for a moment. Who wants you dead badly enough to use a rocket launcher? Sarah hesitated. She didn't know this man, didn't know if she could trust him, but he'd saved her life, saved Atlas's life, and right now he was the only ally she had. My commanding officer, she said. Captain Victor Harlan. Derek's face changed. It was subtle, a tightening around the eyes, a tension in the jaw, but Sarah caught it. She'd been reading people for too long to miss it. You know that name. I know that name. How? Derek set down the rifle. His hands were steady, but something in his eyes had gone cold. Victor Harlan was my commanding officer, 15 years ago. Afghanistan. Sarah's blood turned to ice. That's not possible. It's very possible. Derek stood, moved to the window, stared out at the storm. I was a SEAL under his command, Operation Blackbird. We were sent to intercept a Taliban drug shipment moving through Helmand province. What happened? We walked into an ambush. 50 Taliban fighters with RPGs and heavy machine guns. They knew exactly where we'd be, exactly when we'd arrive. His voice went flat dead. 7 SEALs went in. I was the only one who came out. Sarah's chest tightened. Harlan had sold our mission intel to local warlords, traded our lives for drug money. Derek turned to face her. When I got back to base, he'd already filed a report blaming me for the failed mission. Said I'd deviated from his orders. Said the ambush was my fault. Could you prove otherwise? The evidence was destroyed. My career was over. Harlan walked away clean. Derek's jaw clenched. He left the military 2 years later, joined law enforcement, built himself a nice little empire. Sarah understood now. An empire built on drugs, she said, using police helicopters to transport product, K9 units to move cash, dirty cops to provide protection. You've been investigating him. For 2 years, I have evidence bank records, flight logs, wiretaps. Enough to put him away for life. Where's the evidence now? Sarah's hand moved to her flight suit. Empty. Panic surged. The drive. There was a micro SD card. In your dog's collar. Derek pointed. Hidden compartment. He wouldn't let me take it. Sarah reached for Atlas, found the collar's secret pocket. The card was still there. She nearly cried with relief. He's been trained to protect evidence, she explained. Hold it no matter what happens. Smart? Derek looked at Atlas with new respect. He nearly took my hand off when I got too close. He takes his job seriously. So do I. Derek moved closer. Which is why I need to know what happens now Harlan thinks you're dead. That gives us an advantage. But once the storm breaks, he'll send people to confirm. Sarah's mind was already racing. He can't leave loose ends, not with evidence like this. Then we need to move before the storm clears. Move where I can barely stand. Atlas can barely walk. There's a ranger station 12 miles north. Radio supplies defensible position. if we can reach it before Harlan's people reach us. 12 miles in this storm with a wounded dog. You have a better idea." Sarah didn't. She looked at Atlas at his bandaged wounds, his broken paw. He was watching her with those intelligent amber eyes waiting for her decision. "Can you carry him?" "I carried both of you through 3 miles of blizzard. I can carry him 12 more. "Why would you do that?" "You don't know me. You don't owe me anything." Derek was quiet for a long moment. 15 years ago, I watched 7 of my brothers die because of Victor Harlan. Watched my dog, my best friend, take 3 bullets shielding me from a grenade." His voice was rough. "I've spent every day since then waiting for a chance to make it right." He met her eyes. "You're that chance." They prepared to move at midnight. The storm hadn't lessened, but waiting meant dying. Harlan's people could arrive at any moment. Derek packed supplies, food, water, ammunition, medical gear. Sarah forced herself to stand, testing her injured leg. The pain was manageable. Barely. Ghost and Spirit watched with anxious eyes, sensing the tension. Atlas lay by the fire, conserving his strength. But when Sarah approached with his harness, he struggled to his feet. "Easy, boy. We don't have to—" Atlas shook himself once, then stood firm, waiting. "He wants to walk," Derek observed. "He always wants to walk, even when he shouldn't." Sarah's voice cracked. "Stubborn idiot. Reminds me of someone." Sarah almost smiled. "Can you make him a sling? Something to support his weight?" Derek was already moving, fashioning a harness from rope and canvas. Within minutes, Atlas was fitted with a support system that distributed his weight across Derek's shoulders. "Not comfortable," Derek admitted, "but it'll work." "Thank you." Sarah touched his arm. "For everything. Thank me when we're not dead." They stepped into the storm. The first hour was survivable. Derek led the way, Atlas suspended in the makeshift harness against his back. Sarah followed, one hand gripping Derek's pack for guidance through the whiteout. Ghost and Spirit ranged ahead, their silhouettes appearing and disappearing in the swirling snow. They seemed to know the way, finding paths through the worst of the drifts. "How do they do that?" Sarah shouted over the wind. "Instinct. They've been running these mountains since they were pups." "How old are they?" 5 months. But they've got more wilderness sense than most humans I know. Sarah watched the young shepherds moving with purpose and confidence. They reminded her of Atlas when he was young, all energy and courage, afraid of nothing. "Now look at him." She glanced back at her partner, suspended in Derek's harness. Atlas's eyes were closed, his breathing shallow, but he was alive. For now. The second hour was harder. The terrain steepened, forcing them to climb through drifts that reached Sarah's waist. Her broken ribs screamed with every step. Her lungs burned from the cold. Derek never slowed. He moved like a machine, step after relentless step, carrying 80 pounds of wounded dog without complaint. Sarah didn't know how he did it. "How much further?" 7 miles. Maybe 6. "That's still too far. I can't." "You can." Derek's voice was iron. "You survived a helicopter crash. You survived shrapnel wounds. You survived bleeding out in a burning cockpit while your dog protected you with his body. You can survive 6 more miles." Sarah wanted to argue, but she didn't have the breath. She kept walking. The third hour broke her. Her legs gave out on a steep incline, sending her tumbling into a drift. The fall jarred her ribs and she screamed. "Sarah!" Derek was beside her instantly. "Are you hurt?" "I can't." Tears froze on her cheeks. "I can't do this." "Yes, you can." "I can't." She was sobbing now, 3 years of exhaustion and fear and loneliness pouring out. "Harlan wins. He always wins. I've been fighting him for 2 years and nothing changes. He kills whoever he wants, destroys whoever he wants, and nobody stops him." Derek knelt in the snow. "I stopped him once." "What?" "Afghanistan. After the ambush. I was supposed to die like the others, but I didn't." Derek's eyes burned with cold fire. I crawled out of that valley carrying pieces of my brothers, and every day since then I've been waiting. For what? For this. For a chance to finish what I started. He gripped her shoulders. Harlan thinks he's untouchable. He thinks he's won, but you have evidence that can destroy him. Evidence that can put him in prison for the rest of his life. Evidence doesn't matter if we're dead. Then don't die. Derek pulled her to her feet. Not yet. Not until he pays for what he did. Sarah's legs trembled, but they held. Okay, she whispered. Okay. They kept moving. Dawn was approaching when Ghost stopped. The young shepherd froze mid-stride, ears pricked toward the darkness ahead. Spirit joined him, and both dogs began to growl. Derek raised his hand. What is it? Sarah whispered. They hear something. Harlan's people. Maybe. Derek unslung his rifle. Get behind that rock. Take Atlas. Don't move until I give the signal. Derek. Do it. Sarah moved. She dragged herself behind a boulder, pulling Atlas with her. The dog whimpered at the movement but stayed quiet. Derek vanished into the storm. Minutes passed. Sarah could hear nothing over the wind, see nothing through the snow. She pressed herself against Atlas, feeling his heartbeat, his warmth. It's okay, boy, she whispered. It's going to be okay. Atlas licked her face. Then gunfire erupted. 3 shots, rapid, precise. A scream. 2 more shots. Silence. Derek? Sarah's voice cracked. Derek! Footsteps crunched through the snow. A figure emerged from the whiteout. Sarah's breath stopped. But it was Derek, his rifle smoking, his expression grim. Scouts, he said. 2 of them. They won't be reporting back. How did they find us? They didn't. They were searching the crash site. Must have expanded their perimeter when they didn't find bodies. There'll be more. I know. Derek helped her up. We need to move. Now. They ran. The ranger station appeared through the snow like a mirage. A small wooden building barely larger than Derek's cabin, with a radio tower rising from its roof. It looked abandoned. No lights, no smoke, but it was shelter. Thank God, Sarah breathed. Don't thank him yet. Derek was scanning the perimeter. Something's wrong. What? The door's open. Sarah looked. He was right. The station's front door hung ajar, banging in the wind. Could be nothing. Storm damage. Could be. Derek didn't sound convinced. Stay here. I'll check it out. No. We go together. Derek looked at her determination, her stubbornness. All right, but stay behind me. They approached the station. Ghost and Spirit went first, slipping through the open door like shadows. A moment later, Ghost barked once, all clear. Derek entered with his rifle raised. Sarah followed Atlas, limping beside her. The station's interior was ransacked. Furniture overturned. Equipment smashed. The radio console lay in pieces on the floor, its components scattered like broken teeth. Someone didn't want us calling for help, Derek said. Harlan. Or his people. Derek kicked through the debris, searching for anything salvageable. They must have hit this place first in case anyone survived the crash. Can you fix the radio? Maybe, if I can find the right parts. Derek was already sorting through the wreckage. It'll take time. How much time? A few hours, maybe more. Sarah looked at Atlas. The dog had collapsed by the fireplace, his breathing labored. We don't have a few hours, she said quietly. Atlas is getting worse. Derek paused. He looked at the wounded Malinois, at the dog who'd taken shrapnel protecting his handler, who'd guarded evidence, even while bleeding out, who'd trusted a stranger to carry him through a blizzard. I'll work faster, he said. 2 hours later, the radio crackled to life. Derek had performed miracles with salvaged parts and desperate improvisation. The signal was weak, barely reaching beyond the valley, but it was something. "This is Ranger Station 7 calling any available unit. We have a medical emergency. Repeat medical emergency. Requesting immediate evacuation." Static. "This is Ranger Station 7. Station 7. This is Colorado State Police Dispatch. What is your emergency?" Sarah grabbed the microphone. "This is Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell, Air Unit 7. I was shot down 12 hours ago and need immediate medical evacuation. I have evidence of criminal activity involving Captain Victor Harlan. He is attempting to silence me." Silence. Then, "Lieutenant Mitchell, please hold. Transferring to supervisor." Sarah's blood went cold. "They're stalling," she said. "Harlan has people in the dispatch center." "Then we talk to someone else." Derek took the microphone. "Colorado State Police, this is Commander Derek Stone, formerly of SEAL Team 6. I am transmitting a priority alert to FBI Denver NCIS and the Department of Justice. If Lieutenant Mitchell dies in the next 24 hours, those agencies will receive evidence of a corruption network spanning 3 states. Acknowledge." Silence. Then a different voice. "Commander Stone, this is Special Agent Rachel Torres, FBI Denver. We've been monitoring Captain Harlan's operation for 6 months. What is your location?" Derek looked at Sarah. She nodded. "Ranger Station 7, White River National Forest. We have 1 critically wounded K-9 and a pilot officer with multiple injuries. We are under imminent threat. Requesting extraction." "Understood. Helicopter en route. ETA 90 minutes. "Negative. We may not have 90 minutes. Harlan's people are searching the area." "Do what you can, Commander. Help is coming." The radio went dead. Derek set down the microphone. 90 minutes, Sarah said. 90 minutes. They looked at each other. "Can we hold?" "We have to." Derek checked his rifle. "Ghost Spirit Perimeter Watch. Let me know if anything moves." The young shepherds took positions at the windows. Derek turned to Sarah. "Get some rest. I'll take first watch." "I'm not tired." Liar. But there was a gentleness in his voice. "You've been through hell, Lieutenant. Nobody survives that without scars." "Neither did you." Sarah met his eyes. 15 years is a long time to carry a grudge. "It's not a grudge. It's justice." Derek moved to the window. "And today, one way or another, it ends." Sarah lay down beside Atlas, pulling the wounded dog close. "Hang on, boy," she whispered. "Just a little longer." Atlas's tail moved once. Promise. 40 minutes had passed when Ghost started growling. Derek moved to the window instantly, his body coiled with tension. Spirit joined her brother, both dogs staring into the darkness beyond the glass. "How many?" Sarah pulled herself upright, ignoring the fire in her ribs. "Can't see yet, but Ghost doesn't growl for nothing." Atlas struggled to his feet, his wounded body trembling. He limped to Sarah's side, pressing against her leg, despite the pain it must have caused. "Easy, boy. Stay down." Atlas ignored her. Even now, even dying, he was positioning himself to protect. Derek's jaw tightened. "There. Movement at the tree line." "How many bomb? 6. No 8. His voice went flat. "They've got dogs too." Sarah's blood chilled. She knew what that meant. Harlan had sent his own K-9 unit's dogs trained to track, to hunt, to kill. "Can we hold them off?" "For a while, but that extraction better arrive early." Derek checked his ammunition. "I've got maybe 60 rounds. That's not enough for a sustained fight." "What about the back door?" "Leads to open ground. They'd cut us down before we made 50 feet. Sarah looked at Atlas, at Ghost and Spirit, at the man who'd saved her life and was about to risk his own. "Derek, if this goes bad, it won't. But if it does, the evidence drive is in Atlas's collar. Promise me you'll get it out. Promise me Harlan pays for what he did." Derek met her eyes. Something passed between them. Understanding, respect, maybe something more. "I promise." Ghost barked sharply. Here they come. The first bullet shattered the window 3 feet from Derek's head. He dropped and returned fire in one motion, 3 controlled bursts that sent the attackers scrambling for cover. Sarah grabbed the rifle he'd given her earlier, positioning herself at the second window. "Conservative shots," Derek shouted. "Make every round count. I know how to shoot. Then prove it." Sarah sighted a figure moving between trees. Squeezed the trigger. The man dropped. 1 down. 7 to go. More gunfire erupted. The station's wooden walls offered minimal protection. Bullets punched through like paper, showering them with splinters. Ghost and Spirit had pressed themselves flat to the floor, their training keeping them out of the line of fire. Atlas stood over Sarah, his body a shield despite his wounds. "Atlas down!" The dog ignored her. "Stubborn." Sarah ducked as another burst tore through the wall. "Derek." "I see them. 2 flanking left." Derek pivoted, dropped one attacker, then another. His movements were pure muscle memory, decades of combat distilled into lethal efficiency. But they were running out of time. "Ammo count, 20 rounds. I've got 15. Not enough. Not nearly enough." Then they heard it. Helicopter rotors. Sarah's heart surged. Extraction. Derek's face didn't change. "That's not FBI. Wrong direction. Wrong sound." "What do you mean FBI would come from the south? This is coming from the north." His jaw tightened. "That's Harlan's bird." Sarah's hope turned to ash. "He's coming himself. He wants to make sure the job's done." Derek reloaded with practiced speed. This just got personal. The helicopter touched down somewhere beyond the tree line. The gunfire stopped. An eerie silence fell over the station, broken only by the wind and the labored breathing of wounded dogs. "Why aren't they shooting?" Sarah whispered. "Because Harlan wants to talk." Derek's voice was bitter. He always did love the sound of his own voice. A figure emerged from the darkness, hands raised, walking slowly toward the station. Behind him, armed men kept their weapons trained. Even through the broken window, Sarah recognized him. Captain Victor Harlan, 52 years old. Silver hair cut military short. A face that belonged on recruiting posters, strong jaw, confident smile, eyes that promised protection, eyes that had ordered her death. "Lieutenant Mitchell." Harlan's voice carried through the storm. "Commander Stone, I think it's time we talked." "We've got nothing to say to you," Sarah shouted back. "Oh, I think you do." Harlan stopped 30 feet from the station. "You've got something that belongs to me. Give it back, and this doesn't have to end badly." "It already ended badly. You tried to kill me." "An unfortunate necessity. You were gathering evidence against your commanding officer. What did you expect me to do?" Derek moved to the window, rifle raised. "You could die right now, Harlan. 1 shot. That's all it takes. And then my men kill both of you, plus 3 dogs." Harlan smiled. "I've got 16 people out here, Stone. What have you got? Enough bullets to make it expensive." "Always the soldier." Harlan shook his head. "But this isn't Afghanistan. Nobody's coming to save you. The FBI team you contacted, I've got friends in the bureau. They've been redirected." Sarah's stomach dropped. "You're lying." "Am I? Check your radio." Derek keyed the transmitter. Static. "They jammed us," he said quietly. "Of course I did." Harlan spread his arms. "This is my territory, Stone. My people. My rules. You're not escaping. Not this time." "Like my team didn't escape 15 years ago." Harlan's smile flickered. "That was business." "Business?" Derek's voice cracked with rage. "You sold us to the Taliban, 7 men. Good men. They died screaming because you wanted drug money. They died because you led them into a trap. I followed your coordinates. And my coordinates were perfect. For the people who paid me. Harlan's mask slipped, revealing something ugly beneath. You were supposed to die too, Stone. But you just kept crawling, kept surviving, kept waiting. I was waiting for this. Derek raised his rifle. For you. Then take the shot. End it. Derek's finger tightened on the trigger. Sarah watched his face, the war happening behind those gunmetal eyes. 15 years of grief and rage condensed into a single moment. Don't, she said quietly. Derek didn't move. He wants you to shoot. The second you do, his men open fire. We all die, and Harlan becomes a martyr. She's smart. Harlan nodded approvingly. Smarter than you anyway. So here's my offer. Give me the evidence, and I'll let you live. Both of you. The dogs, too. You expect us to believe that? I expect you to understand the alternative. Harlan's voice hardened. In about 10 minutes, my patience runs out. Then my men storm that station and kill everything inside. But maybe before you die, you'd like to know the truth about your dog. Sarah's blood went cold. What truth? Atlas. Harlan smiled. Where do you think he came from? Lieutenant, who trained him? Who selected him for your unit? That was before I... That was me. I picked Atlas specifically for you, because he was bred from the same line as Stone's dog, the one that died in Afghanistan. Derek went absolutely still. Titan's bloodline. Exactly. Harlan's smile widened. Did you think it was coincidence that your new canine partner just happened to share genetics with the dog Stone lost? I arranged it. A little poetry? Don't you think the descendant of the dog I killed serving the woman I'd eventually have to kill too? Sarah looked at Atlas. At the dog she'd loved for 7 years without knowing his history. He was always going to be your weakness. Harlan continued. You'd do anything for that dog, including hesitate at the crucial moment. I'm not hesitating now. No. Then why haven't you pulled the trigger? Sarah's hands shook, but not with fear, with rage. Because I want you to suffer, she said. Dying is too easy. I want you to watch everything you built collapse. I want you to rot in prison. I want you to spend the rest of your miserable life knowing that you lost. Harlan laughed. You still don't understand, do you? There is no prison for men like me. There's only power, and those too weak to take it. Then take this. Derek fired. The bullet caught Harlan in the shoulder, spinning him around. Chaos erupted. Harlan's men opened fire, a wall of lead that tore through the station. Derek grabbed Sarah, throwing them both to the floor. Ghost and Spirit pressed flat, whimpering. Atlas, wounded, dying, barely standing, launched himself toward the broken window. Atlas, no! The Malinois hit the ground running, ignoring his injuries, ignoring the bullets whipping past him. He was heading straight for Harlan. What's he doing? Derek shouted. Protecting us! Sarah struggled toward the window. He's drawing their fire. Harlan's men pivoted, trying to track the dog streaking through the darkness. Their shots went wide. Atlas was too fast, too unpredictable. He hit the first man before they could adjust. 80 pounds of wounded fury jaws closing on an arm, tearing. The man screamed and dropped his weapon. Atlas released him and kept moving, heading for the next target. Cover him! Sarah screamed. Derek was already firing. 2 men down. 3. Sarah joined him, her shots finding their marks. 4 down. 5. Atlas had reached Harlan. The captain was on his knees, clutching his shoulder, his face twisted with pain and disbelief. Atlas stood over him, teeth bared, a growl rumbling from deep in his chest. Good boy, Sarah whispered. Then Harlan pulled a pistol. Atlas. The shot cracked through the air. Atlas yelped, staggered, fell. No. Sarah was running before she realized it. Out the door, into the storm, toward her partner lying in the snow. Sarah. Derek's voice desperate. Get down. She didn't stop. She reached Atlas, dropped to her knees beside him. Blood soaked through his fur, new blood joining the old wounds. Hey boy. Hey, I'm here. Atlas's eyes found hers. His tail moved once weakly. Stay with me. Stay with me, Atlas. Touching. Sarah looked up. Harlan stood 5 feet away, pistol aimed at her head. His left arm hung useless, Derek's bullet having torn through the shoulder, but his right hand was steady. You know what's funny? Harlan's voice was calm. I never wanted to kill you, Mitchell. You were a good officer, good pilot. If you'd just kept your head down. If I'd just let you poison the department, let you destroy lives. It's not destruction, it's business. Harlan shrugged his good shoulder. You wouldn't understand. I understand perfectly. Sarah's hand crept toward Atlas's collar. I understand that you're a coward who sends other people to die. I understand that you murdered 7 SEALs because you were greedy. I understand that you shot down my helicopter because you were scared. Scared? Harlan laughed. Of you. Of this. Sarah's fingers found the evidence drive. She pulled it from Atlas's collar and held it up. Everything you've done for the last 15 years. Every payment, every order, every body. It's all here. And it's not just on this drive. It's been uploaded to 5 different servers, set to release automatically, if I don't enter a code every 72 hours. Harlan's smile faltered. You're bluffing. Am I kill me now, and in 3 days, every news organization in the country gets the files. The FBI, the DOJ, the media, everyone. You'll be the most wanted man in America. You couldn't have... I had 2 years to prepare, Harlan. 2 years of watching you operate, learning your patterns, planning for exactly this moment. Sarah's voice hardened. Did you really think I'd risk everything without a backup plan? Harlan's face contorted. Then I'll make you give me the code. Torture won't work. The code resets every 12 hours. I'd have to access a specific server to verify it, a server you'll never find. I'll find it. You'll die trying. Sarah smiled coldly. That's the difference between us, Harlan. You think power comes from fear. I know it comes from preparation. Harlan's finger tightened on the trigger. You're betting a lot on a bluff. I'm betting everything on the truth. For a long moment, they stared at each other, the corrupt captain and the pilot he'd tried to murder. Then, Derek's voice cut through the silence. Put it down, Harlan. Sarah turned her head. Derek stood 10 feet away, rifle aimed at Harlan's chest. Ghost and spirit flanked him, teeth bared. Your men are dead or running, Derek said. It's over. Harlan looked around. He was right. The assault team had been decimated, bodies scattered across the snow, survivors fleeing into the forest. You won't shoot me, Stone. Harlan's voice was desperate now. I'm your only chance at answers. Don't you want to know why your team really died? I already know why. Greed. Same reason you do everything. No. There's more. Harlan's eyes flickered. Your team wasn't the target, Stone. You were. Specifically you. Do you want to know why? Derek hesitated. Don't listen to him, Sarah warned. He's stalling. Your father. Harlan grinned, sensing an opening. Senator William Stone. He was investigating military corruption, defense contracts, kickbacks, all of it. He was getting too close to people who couldn't afford exposure. My father died of a heart attack. Your father was murdered, made to look natural, and you were supposed to die in Afghanistan completing the cleanup. 2 stones, 1 operation. Derek's face went pale. You're lying. Am I? Ask yourself, why did the ambush happen the same week your father announced his investigation? Why were you specifically selected for that mission? Shut up. They wanted your whole family gone, Stone. I was just the instrument. Shut up. Derek fired. The bullet hit Harlan's chest dead center. The captain's eyes widened with surprise. He looked down at the spreading red stain, then up at Derek. Should have killed me. Years ago. He collapsed face first into the snow. Silence. Derek stood frozen, rifle still raised, chest heaving. Sarah didn't move. Ghost whined softly. Then from somewhere in the sky, a new sound emerged. Helicopter rotors. Multiple helicopters. FBI! A voice boomed through a loudspeaker. Put down your weapons. Medical teams are standing by. Sarah looked up. 3 helicopters descended through the storm, their lights cutting through the darkness. FBI tactical teams rappelled to the ground, securing the area. It was over. Yeah, the aftermath was a blur of medical teams and interrogations. Sarah was loaded onto a helicopter Atlas strapped to a stretcher beside her. The veterinary team worked frantically on his wounds, 2 gunshots now, plus the original shrapnel damage. He's lost a lot of blood, the vet said. We need to get him to surgery immediately. Will he make it? I don't know. He's strong, but... Sarah gripped Atlas's paw. You hear that, boy? You're strong, the strongest. So you're going to fight, okay? You're going to fight like you've fought every day of your life. Atlas's eyes flickered open. His tail moved once. Promise. Derek rode in a separate helicopter flanked by FBI agents. Special Agent Torres sat across from him, her expression unreadable. Harlan's dead, she said. You killed him. He was about to shoot Lieutenant Mitchell. That's what your report will say. Derek met her eyes. That's what happened. Torres studied him for a long moment. We've been investigating Harlan for 6 months. Never could get enough evidence to move on him. Too many connections, too much protection. Now you have everything. Thanks to Lieutenant Mitchell, and thanks to you. Torres paused. What Harlan said about your father, I don't want to talk about it. You might have to. If there's any truth to his claims, then I'll deal with it, later. Derek looked out the window. Right now, I just want to know if her dog survives. Torres raised an eyebrow. You care about the dog? I care about both of them. Derek's voice was quiet. They survived something that should have killed them. They fought back when anyone else would have given up. He stopped. They what? They reminded me what it feels like to save someone. Derek's jaw tightened. I'd forgotten. Torres was silent for a moment. Atlas is in surgery now. Touch and go, but the vets are optimistic. Derek exhaled. Good. And Lieutenant Mitchell is asking for you. She is. Apparently, you're the only person she trusts right now. Torres almost smiled. Whatever you did in those mountains, Commander, you made an impression. Derek looked out at the snow-covered peaks disappearing behind them. We survived, he said. That's all. But they both knew it was more than that. The hospital in Denver was chaos. Media swarmed outside trying to get statements. Federal agents filled the hallways. Bureaucrats argued about jurisdiction. Sarah ignored all of it. She sat in the surgical waiting room, ghost and spirit pressed against her legs. Someone had found blankets for the young shepherds, and they huddled together, exhausted, but alert. Any word? Derek appeared in the doorway, bandaged and bruised, but standing. Still in surgery. They've been working on him for 4 hours. Derek sat beside her. For a while, neither spoke. What Harlan said? Sarah finally said. About your father. I don't know if it's true, but you're going to find out. Eventually. Derek stared at the floor. Right now, I don't have the energy to dig into 15-year-old conspiracies. I understand. Sarah touched his arm. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. For what? For dragging you into this. You were living peacefully in your cabin, minding your own business. Then I crashed into your life and you didn't drag me into anything. Derek met her eyes. I was waiting for this. I just didn't know it until you showed up. Waiting for what? A helicopter crash. Waiting for a reason. His voice softened. I spent 3 years hiding from the world because I couldn't save anyone. My team, my dog, my family. I failed all of them. So I thought the best thing I could do was disappear. And now I'm thinking maybe I was wrong. Derek looked at Ghost and Spirit curled together on the floor. Maybe the best thing I can do is keep trying, keep saving, even when it hurts. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Atlas, she said. Harlan said he was bred from Titan's line. I heard. Does that bother you? Derek considered the question. It should, I think. Harlan did it to be cruel, to remind me of what I lost. He shook his head slowly. But when I look at Atlas, I don't see cruelty. I see courage. I see loyalty. I see everything that made Titan special passed down to the next generation. That's a good way to look at it. It's the only way I can live with it. Derek turned to her. When this is over, if Atlas survives, what happens next? I don't know. The investigation will take months. My career is probably finished. Why? I shot down my commanding officer's helicopter. Well, technically he shot down mine, but the paperwork doesn't care about technicalities. Sarah laughed bitterly. Even if I'm cleared of wrongdoing, there'll always be people who wonder. Then start over. Easy to say. I did it. Derek shrugged. After Afghanistan, I had nothing. No career, no family, no purpose. I found a cabin in the mountains and taught myself to live again. With dogs. With dogs. A ghost of a smile. They don't judge. They don't ask questions. They just love. Sarah looked at Ghost and Spirit. They're special. They're puppies, 5 months old and already saving lives. Derek shook his head. I don't know what I did to deserve them. Maybe it's not about deserving. Sarah met his eyes. Maybe it's about accepting what's given and doing your best with it. That sounds like wisdom. That sounds like exhaustion. Sarah leaned back. I haven't slept in 36 hours. Then sleep. I'll watch. You don't have to. I want to. Derek's voice was quiet. Let me do this, Sarah. Let me help. She hesitated. Then slowly she leaned her head against his shoulder. Wake me when there's news. I will. Within minutes, she was asleep. Derek sat motionless, watching the surgical bay doors, listening to her breathe. Ghost raised his head, looked at his master, then settled back down with a soft huff. Derek understood. They were all waiting now. 6 hours later, the surgeon emerged. Sarah was awake instantly on her feet before Derek could stop her. Atlas, is he? He's alive. The surgeon pulled off his mask. It was touch and go for a while. The second bullet nicked his liver. But he's a fighter. Can I see him? Soon. He's still in recovery. But... The surgeon hesitated. There's something you should know. Sarah's heart clenched. What? The damage to his spine from the original shrapnel, combined with the stress of the last 24 hours. The surgeon sighed. He may not walk normally again. We've done everything we can, but he's alive. Sarah's voice cracked. That's what matters. He's alive, the surgeon agreed. And asking for you. Well, not asking. More like refusing to calm down until he sees you. Despite everything, Sarah smiled. That's my boy. Tom. The recovery room was quiet. Atlas lay on a padded table of V-lines running into his leg monitors, beeping steadily. His eyes were half closed, his breathing shallow. But when Sarah entered, his tail moved. Hey, boy. She dropped to her knees beside him. Hey, tough guy. You scared me. Atlas licked her hand weakly. The doctor says you might not walk right again. You know what I said? I said you're too stubborn to let that stop you. Another tail wag. Derek appeared in the doorway, ghost and spirit at his heels. The young shepherds immediately moved toward Atlas, sniffing him carefully. Easy, Derek warned. He's still hurt. But Ghost ignored him. The young male lay down beside Atlas's table, pressing his body against the base as if offering support. Spirit did the same on the other side. They did this before, Sarah said quietly. When we first arrived at your cabin. Pack instinct. They know he's hurt. They're trying to help. Sarah watched the 3 dogs, 2 young, 1 wounded, all connected by something deeper than words. Thank you, she said. For what? For finding us. For saving us. For everything. Derek moved closer. I didn't save you. We saved each other. He knelt beside her. You and Atlas and the storm and everything else, it all happened for a reason. You believe that? I have to. Derek looked at the dogs. Otherwise, what's the point? Sarah reached out and took his hand. Whatever happens next, she said. I'm glad it was you. Glad what was me? The one who found us. The one who carried us through the blizzard. She squeezed his fingers. The one who didn't give up. Derek was quiet for a moment. Then he squeezed back. I'm glad it was you too. Atlas's tail wagged once more. And somewhere outside the storm finally began to break. 3 weeks passed before Atlas took his first steps. Sarah was there when it happened, sitting on the floor of the rehabilitation center, watching her partner struggle against gravity. Ghost and Spirit lay on either side of the Malinois, their bodies pressed close as if willing him forward. Come on, boy. Sarah's voice cracked. You can do it. Atlas's front legs trembled. His back legs, the ones the doctors said might never work right again, shook violently. But his eyes were fixed on Sarah, burning with the same determination that had carried him through 7 years of service. One step. His back end collapsed. It's okay. Sarah crawled toward him. It's okay, we'll try again. Atlas snarled. Not at her, at himself. He struggled upright again, legs quaking, muscles screaming. Ghost whined encouragement. Spirit licked his ear. 2 steps, 3, 4. Then Atlas was walking, limping, dragging his left hind leg, but walking toward Sarah with his tail wagging furiously. She caught him as he reached her, burying her face in his fur. That's my boy. That's my brave, stubborn, beautiful boy. Derek watched from the doorway, something tight in his chest loosening for the first time in weeks. He's incredible, he said quietly. He's Atlas. Sarah looked up, tears streaming down her face. He doesn't know how to give up. Neither do you. Sarah smiled through her tears. I learned from the best. The investigation moved faster than anyone expected. Special Agent Torres had assembled a task force dedicated to dismantling Harlan's network. The evidence drive Sarah had protected contained everything: bank records, flight logs, communications names of every dirty cop and politician on Harlan's payroll. Within 2 weeks, 17 arrests had been made. Within 3 weeks, that number doubled. We're just scratching the surface, Torres told Sarah during their latest briefing. Harlan's operation was bigger than we realized. He had connections in 3 states, ties to cartels in Mexico, partnerships with weapons dealers overseas. How did no one notice? People did notice. They just couldn't prove anything. Torres slid a folder across the table. Or they died before they could. Sarah opened the folder. Inside were photographs. 12 faces. Men and women of various ages, all marked with the same stamp, deceased. Who are they? Investigators, journalists, whistleblowers, everyone who got too close to Harlan over the past 15 years. Torres's voice was grim. Heart attacks, car accidents, suicides, all ruled natural or accidental. You think Harlan had them killed? I think Harlan was one piece of a much larger machine. Torres leaned forward. The evidence you gathered mentions something called the Foundation. Capital letters like a proper noun. We can't find any records of such an organization, but Harlan referenced it multiple times in his encrypted communications. What kind of references? Orders, instructions, payments. Torres paused. And threats. Threats? Harlan was afraid of something. Someone. The last message we decrypted was sent 2 days before he shot down your helicopter. It said, "The Foundation is watching. Complete the cleanup or face consequences." Sarah's blood chilled. Cleanup. He meant me. He meant everyone who knew too much. Torres slid another folder across, including Commander Stone's team, including his father. Sarah stared at the folder. Derek's father, Senator William Stone. He was investigating military corruption when he died of a heart attack 15 years ago, the same week Derek's team was ambushed in Afghanistan. Harlan said something about this before Derek shot him. Harlan was telling the truth, at least partially. Torres opened the folder. We've found evidence suggesting Senator Stone was close to exposing the Foundation. They eliminated him and his son simultaneously, or tried to. Derek survived. Derek has been surviving ever since. And now... Torres looked at her directly. Now the Foundation knows he's involved again. Sarah's throat tightened. They'll come for him. They'll come for both of you. Torres stood. I'm assigning protective details immediately. You're not safe until we identify who's running this operation. How long will that take? I don't know. Weeks, months, maybe longer. Maybe. I can't hide for months. You can if you want to stay alive. Torres's voice was hard. These people killed a senator, a Navy SEAL team, and a dozen investigators. They won't hesitate to kill a pilot officer and her dog. Sarah looked at the photographs again. 12 faces. 12 people who'd tried to do the right thing. 12 people who'd failed. I need to tell Derek, she said. He's being briefed separately. I wanted you to understand the scope before you made any decisions. What decisions? Torres hesitated. We could offer you protection. New identities. Relocation to somewhere the Foundation can't find you. You mean disappear? I mean survive. Sarah stood. I didn't survive a helicopter crash, a blizzard, and Victor Harlan to spend the rest of my life hiding. Her voice was steel. If the Foundation wants me dead, they can come and try, but I'm not running. Torres almost smiled. I told my supervisor you'd say that. Then why offer? Because I had to, and because... Torres paused. Because Commander Stone said exactly the same thing. Derek was waiting outside the briefing room. His face was pale, his jaw tight. Sarah could see the storm behind his eyes, 15 years of grief and rage finding a new target. You heard, she asked. I heard. About your father. About everything. Derek's hands clenched into fists. They killed my team to cover up my father's investigation. They killed my father to stop him from exposing them. And now they're going to try to kill us. Torres offered protection. I know what Torres offered. Derek met her eyes. I'm not interested. Neither am I. Something passed between them, understanding solidarity, maybe something deeper. We need to find them, Derek said, before they find us. Torres is working on it. Torres is following procedures. By the time she gets authorization for anything meaningful, we could be dead. Derek's voice dropped. I didn't survive 15 years of waiting to let bureaucracy get me killed. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we do what I should have done years ago. Derek pulled out his phone. I have contacts, people who don't follow procedures, people who owe me favors. Derek, this isn't Afghanistan. We can't just, fight back, protect ourselves. His eyes burned. They took everything from me, Sarah. My team, my dog, my father, my life. I've been hiding in the mountains for 3 years because I thought it was over. I thought they'd forgotten about me. They hadn't. No, they were just waiting. Derek's jaw tightened. Now they know I'm still a threat. They know you're a threat. They'll come for us, Sarah. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. But they'll come. So we run. So we hunt. Derek stepped closer. The Foundation, whoever they are, they're used to operating in shadows. They're used to victims who don't fight back. Let's show them what happens when they target a Navy SEAL and a combat pilot. Sarah looked at him, this broken, fierce, relentless man who'd carried her through a blizzard and was now asking her to walk into something far more dangerous. This could get us killed, she said. Hiding could get us killed too. At least this way we choose how we fight. Sarah thought about Atlas, about Ghost and Spirit, about everything she'd survived, and everything she still had left to lose. I need to know something first, she said. What? If we do this, if we go hunting, are you doing it for justice or revenge? Derek was quiet for a long moment. I don't know anymore, he finally admitted. Maybe both. Maybe neither. I just know I can't keep hiding while they destroy everything I care about. Including me. Derek's eyes softened. Especially you. Sarah held his gaze. Then let's go hunting. Derek's contacts came through faster than expected. Within 48 hours, they had a name, Marcus Webb. Former CIA operative currently running a private security firm with ties to defense contractors and foreign governments. Webb was Harlan's handler. Derek's contact explained via encrypted call. Every order Harlan received came through him. Every payment went through his accounts. Where is he now? Washington. He's got an estate in McLean, Virginia. Heavy security. Never leaves without a detail. What's his connection to the Foundation? Unknown. But he's the closest link we have to whoever's really running this operation. Derek ended the call and looked at Sarah. McLean. 400 miles from here. That's FBI territory. If Torres finds out we're planning something, Torres won't find out. Derek was already packing. We leave tonight. Ghost Spirit and Atlas stay here under protection. I'm not leaving Atlas. Sarah. I said no. Her voice cracked. I've almost lost him twice. I'm not leaving him again. Derek stopped. He can barely walk. If things go wrong, then he'll be with me. That's all that matters. Derek looked at her at the fierce determination in her eyes, the same stubbornness he'd seen in the wreckage of her helicopter. All right, Atlas comes, but he stays in the vehicle during any action. Deal. Deal. Ghost whined from the corner, sensing the tension. Spirit pressed against Derek's legs. You two stay here, Derek told them. Torres's people will watch you. We'll be back soon. Ghost barked once protest. I know, boy. I know. Derek knelt, pulling both dogs close. But this is something we have to do without you. Just this once. Spirit licked his face. Ghost's tail drooped, but he stopped barking. Good dogs. Derek stood. Let's go, Sarah. We've got a long drive ahead. They drove through the night. Atlas lay on the back seat, his body wrapped in blankets, his eyes watching the highway lights flash past. The special harness Sarah had commissioned supported his back legs, allowing him to move more freely. Tell me about your father, Sarah said, breaking the silence. Derek's hands tightened on the wheel. What do you want to know? Everything. Who he was. Why they killed him. Derek was quiet for a long moment. He was a senator, served 3 terms. People called him the Bulldog because once he got his teeth into something, he never let go. Sounds familiar? Where do you think I learned it? A ghost of a smile. He was investigating military contractors when I was deployed to Afghanistan. Companies that were overcharging the government, delivering substandard equipment, getting soldiers killed. What did he find? I don't know the details. He never told me. Said it was too dangerous. Derek's voice went hollow. The last time we talked was 2 days before the ambush. He said he was close to something big, something that would shake Washington to its foundations. The foundation. That's what I think now. He must have been investigating them. They found out and... Derek trailed off. They eliminated him, and tried to eliminate you. I should have died in that valley. Everyone else did. Derek stared at the road. For years I thought I survived because of luck, or fate, or some cosmic joke. And now I think I survived because I wasn't done yet. He glanced at her. Because this moment was always coming. Because I was always going to end up here driving through the night to confront the people who destroyed my family. Sarah reached out and touched his arm. You're not alone this time. Derek's jaw loosened slightly. No, I'm not. They drove on in silence, but it was a different kind of silence now. Warmer, more connected. Atlas's tail thumped once against the seat. Approval. They reached McLean just before dawn. Webb's estate was exactly as described, a sprawling compound surrounded by security fences, cameras, and armed guards. Getting inside would be suicide. Front door's out, Sarah observed. Obviously. Derek studied the layout through binoculars. But there's a service entrance on the east side. Delivery trucks come through every morning. You want to hijack a delivery truck? I want to become one. Derek pulled out his phone. My contact can get us uniforms and a vehicle. We go in as catering staff, get close to Webb and extract him. Extract him? This isn't a military operation. It is now. Derek's voice was cold. Webb has answers. We need those answers. The only way we get them is by taking him. And what happens after, we can't exactly turn him over to the FBI without explaining how we got him. We'll figure that out later. Derek started the car. Right now, all that matters is getting inside. They drove to a safe house. Derek's contact had arranged an abandoned warehouse 3 miles from Webb's estate. The supplies were already waiting: uniforms, credentials, a delivery van marked with a catering company logo. This feels wrong, Sarah said, pulling on the uniform. It feels necessary. Derek checked his weapon. These people killed my family. They tried to kill you. They're not going to stop until everyone who threatens them is dead. So we become them. Kidnapping, interrogation. We become whatever we need to be. Derek met her eyes. I'm not asking you to do anything you're not comfortable with, but I am asking you to trust me. Sarah looked at Atlas lying in the corner, watching them with ancient eyes. He trusts you, she said finally. That's enough for me. Derek nodded. Then let's go. The delivery went smoother than expected. The guards at the gate barely glanced at their credentials. The cameras tracked them but didn't trigger alarms. Within minutes, they were inside Webb's compound, unloading fake catering supplies from the van. Kitchen entrance, Derek murmured. Stay close. They moved through the staff corridors, passing housekeepers and security personnel who paid them no attention. Derek navigated as if he'd studied the layout for weeks. How do you know where you're going? Blueprints. My contact obtained them 3 hours ago. 3 hours? How? Don't ask questions you don't want answers to. They reached a service stairway. Derek checked his phone. Webb's office is on the 3rd floor, east wing, 2 guards outside the door. Can we get past them? We're going to walk right through them. Derek handed her a tray of coffee cups. Smile. Look tired. Be boring. They climbed the stairs, emerged into a hallway lined with expensive art, and walked directly toward the guards flanking Webb's office door. Delivery, Derek said flatly. Mr. Webb's morning coffee. The guards exchanged glances. Nobody ordered coffee. Check with the kitchen. Derek held up the tray. I just go where they tell me. One guard reached for his radio. Derek moved. The tray hit the first guard's face, hot liquid splashing. Derek was already spinning, catching the second guard's arm before he could draw his weapon. 2 strikes throat temple, and both men were down. Inside, now! Sarah pushed through the door. Marcus Webb sat behind an enormous desk phone in hand, eyes widening as he processed what was happening. What the? Derek's weapon was up before Webb could finish. Hang up the phone. Webb's finger hovered over the screen. I said hang up. Webb pressed disconnect. Do you have any idea who I am? Marcus Webb, former CIA, currently running security operations for the Foundation. Derek moved closer. I know exactly who you are. Webb's face changed, fear flickering beneath the facade of control. You're Stone, the SEAL who survived Blackbird. I'm the one who's going to put you in the ground if you don't answer my questions. You can't do this. There are protocols, protections. Your protections failed. Derek pressed the gun against Webb's forehead. Now talk. Webb's eyes darted to Sarah, then back to Derek. What do you want to know? Everything. The Foundation, my father, the ambush in Afghanistan, everything. Webb laughed, a nervous, desperate sound. You think I know everything? I'm just a conduit, a messenger. The Foundation doesn't share secrets with people like me. Then tell me what you do know. I know your father was getting too close. I know Harlan was ordered to eliminate his son as leverage. I know. Webb swallowed. I know if you kill me, they'll kill everyone you've ever loved. They already tried that. They haven't even started. Webb's voice dropped. The Foundation doesn't forget. They don't forgive. You can kill me right now, and 100 more will take my place. You can destroy Harlan's network, and they'll build another one. Who runs it? Give me a name. I don't know. Nobody knows. That's the whole point. Webb's fear was real now, bleeding through his composure. I get my orders through encrypted channels. Payments through anonymous accounts. I've worked for them for 15 years, and I've never seen a face or heard a voice. Then you're useless. Wait. Webb's hands came up. I don't know who runs it, but I know where they communicate. There's a server. In Geneva. All their operations go through it, commands, payments, everything. You get access to that server, you get access to the Foundation. How do I get access? There's a key. A physical device. I have one. Webb pointed to a safe in the corner. Take it, use it, but understand the moment you access that server they'll know, and they'll come for you with everything they have. Derek looked at Sarah. She nodded. Open the safe, Derek ordered. Webb moved slowly, entering the combination with shaking hands. The door swung open, revealing stacks of documents, bundles of cash, and a small electronic device that looked like a USB drive. That's it. The access key. There are maybe 5 of them in existence. Derek took the device. One more question. What? The order to kill my father. Did you give it? Webb's face went pale. I was the messenger. I delivered the order. But I didn't. Derek's finger tightened on the trigger. Derek! Sarah's voice cut through his rage. Derek, look at me! He didn't move. Look at me! Derek's eyes shifted. If you kill him, you're no better than they are. Sarah stepped closer. We have what we need. We have evidence. We have a way to expose them. Don't throw that away for revenge. He helped kill my father, and he'll face justice for it. Real justice. In a court. In front of the world. Sarah put her hand on his arm. This isn't who you are, Derek. You're not an executioner. Derek's hand shook. The gun wavered. Webb whimpered. Then Derek stepped back. You're going to contact the FBI, he said quietly. You're going to confess everything you know, and you're going to pray that I never see your face again. Webb nodded frantically. Yes, I'll do it. I'll tell them everything. One more thing. Derek leaned close. If you warn the Foundation if you try to run, I'll find you. And next time she won't be here to stop me." He turned and walked out. Sarah followed. Behind them, Webb collapsed against his desk, sobbing. They were halfway to the van when the alarm started. "Someone tripped the security," Derek said. "Move." They ran through the corridors past startled staff toward the service entrance. Atlas was barking in the van, sensing their urgency. "There!" A guard appeared at the end of the hallway. "Stop!" Derek didn't stop. He lowered his shoulder and hit the guard at full speed, sending him crashing into the wall. More shouts behind them, footsteps, the sound of weapons being drawn. They burst through the service door and sprinted toward the van. "Get Atlas, I'll drive." Sarah yanked open the back door, dove inside. Atlas pressed against her, trembling. Derek was behind the wheel, instantly gunning the engine. The van lurched forward, tires screaming. "They're following!" Sarah shouted, looking through the rear window. 3 SUVs had emerged from the estate, closing fast. "Hold on." Derek yanked the wheel, sending the van careening onto a side road. The SUVs followed, gaining ground. "They're too fast. We can't outrun them." "We don't have to outrun them." Derek pulled out his phone, hit a speed dial number. "We just have to stay alive for 3 minutes." 3 minutes? What happens in 3 minutes? "My backup plan." The SUVs were almost on top of them now, their drivers preparing to ram. Then the sky exploded with light. Helicopters, 3 of them, descended from nowhere, their searchlights pinning the SUVs to the road. Megaphones blared, "This is the FBI, pull over and exit your vehicles." The SUVs skidded to a halt. Derek slowed the van, watching the mirror as armed agents swarmed the pursuers. "You called Torres." "I called Torres." Derek exhaled. "Before we left Denver. Told her exactly what we were planning." "You what?" "She couldn't officially sanction an operation, but she could position assets nearby in case we needed extraction." Derek almost smiled. "She's not as by the book as she seems." Sarah stared at him. "You planned this whole thing." "I planned for it to go wrong. It usually does." Derek looked at her. "Are you angry?" Sarah thought about it. "No," she said finally. "I'm impressed." "Don't be. We got lucky." Derek pulled the access key from his pocket. "But now we have something the Foundation can't ignore. And when we use it, everything changes." Sarah looked at the device, small, innocent, containing secrets worth killing for. "What happens next?" "Next, we find out who's really running this thing." Derek met her eyes. "And we burn it to the ground." Atlas barked once. Agreement. The FBI safe house in Denver felt smaller with every passing hour. Sarah sat at the kitchen table, staring at the access key Derek had taken from Webb. Such a small thing, barely larger than a thumb drive, yet it contained the power to unravel an organization that had killed senators, destroyed military units, and corrupted entire agencies. Atlas lay at her feet, his breathing steady. The journey to Virginia had exhausted him, but his eyes remained alert, watching, protecting. Ghost and Spirit had greeted them like returning heroes, jumping and barking and licking every available surface. Now they lay with Atlas forming a protective circle around the wounded Malinois. "Torres is on her way," Derek said, entering from the back room. "She's bringing a tech specialist who can help us access the server." "How long?" 20 minutes. Sarah nodded her fingers, tracing the key's smooth surface. "What do you think we'll find?" "Answers." Derek sat across from her. "Or more questions. Either way, we'll know more than we do now." Webb seemed terrified of them, genuinely terrified. He should be. The Foundation has been operating for decades without exposure. That takes resources, reach, and ruthlessness. Derek's jaw tightened. "Whoever runs this thing isn't playing games." "Neither are we." Derek looked at her, at the determination in her eyes, the steel in her voice. "No," he agreed. "Neither are we." A knock at the door interrupted them. Derek moved instantly, weapon drawn, positioning himself to cover the entrance. Ghost and Spirit rose, hackles up. "It's Torres!" a voice called. "I've got Martinez with me." Derek checked the peephole, then opened the door. Torres entered first, followed by a young woman carrying enough electronics to stock a small store. She had dark hair, sharp eyes, and the focused intensity of someone who lived for puzzles. "This is Agent Elena Martinez, best cyber specialist in the Bureau." Martinez barely glanced up from the laptop she was already unpacking. "The key. Let me see it." Sarah handed it over. Martinez examined it with the reverence of an archaeologist handling ancient artifacts. Military-grade encryption, multi-layer authentication, self-destruct protocols if accessed incorrectly. She whistled softly. "Whoever built this was serious." "Can you use it?" "Can I use it?" Martinez almost smiled. "I've been waiting my whole career for something like this." She connected the key to her laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard. Initial handshake. Confirmed. Authentication protocols. Bypassing now. Give me 5 minutes. Torres pulled Sarah aside. "Webb is talking. Everything. Names, dates, operations. He's terrified of spending time in a prison where Foundation assets might reach him." "Is his information good?" "Better than good. He's confirmed 17 active operations across 6 countries. Drug trafficking, weapons smuggling, political assassinations. The Foundation has its fingers in everything." "And the leadership?" Torres hesitated. "That's the problem. Webb doesn't know who's at the top. Nobody does. The Foundation operates through layers of cutouts and intermediaries. Even their highest operatives have never met the people running the show." "Then this server is our only shot. If Martinez can get us in, and if the data isn't, I'm in." Everyone turned. Martinez was staring at her screen, face pale. "I'm in, but you need to see this." They gathered around the laptop. The screen displayed a list of files, hundreds of them organized by date and operation name. Martinez scrolled through, and Sarah felt her stomach turn with each passing entry. Operation Blackbird, Afghanistan. Stone Team. Elimination Operation. Cardinal. Washington, D.C. Senator Stone Termination Operation. Sparrow. Colorado. Mitchell. Elimination pending. "They're all here," Sarah breathed. "Every operation they've ever run. Not just operations." Martinez opened another folder. Communications. Direct messages from the leadership to field operatives. Encrypted, but... She typed rapidly. "I can break it. Give me a minute." Derek hadn't moved. His eyes were fixed on the screen, specifically on the file labeled Senator Stone Termination. "Open that one," he said quietly. Martinez hesitated. "Commander, I don't think—" "Open it." She opened it. The file contained mission parameters, timeline, and execution details. Sarah couldn't bring herself to read most of it, but the final entry caught her eye. Termination confirmed. Cardiac event synthetic. No investigation required. Authorization founding member 01. Founding member 01, Derek repeated. "That's the person who ordered my father's death." "And Harlan's mission," Torres added, scrolling. "And a dozen other operations, all authorized by the same person." "Can you identify them?" "Not yet, but if the communications are decrypted..." Martinez's fingers flew. "There. Message logs from founding member 01 to field operatives, spanning 15 years. The messages appeared on screen. Most were brief operational orders, resource allocations, target designations. But one dated 3 weeks ago made Sarah's blood run cold. "Stone resurfacing. Mitchell evidence threatens operation. Recommend immediate elimination. If impossible, activate contingency protocol Omega." "What's protocol Omega?" Sarah asked. Martinez searched. "I don't see any reference to..." "Wait, here. It's buried in the foundational documents." She opened a file that looked older than the others. "Contingency protocol Omega in event of catastrophic exposure. Eliminate all active operatives with knowledge of leadership. Preserve Foundation anonymity at all costs. Acceptable losses unlimited. They'll kill their own people, Sarah whispered. They'll kill everyone to protect themselves. Torres's voice was grim. Webb Harlan's surviving network, anyone connected to their operations. Then they already know we accessed this server. Derek's voice was ice. Webb said it himself the moment we use the key they'll know. Martinez nodded. I've got countermeasures running, but a system this sophisticated. They've probably already been alerted. How long do we have? Unknown. Hours, maybe less. Derek grabbed his weapon. Then we need to move. Now. Move where? Torres demanded. We still don't know who's running this thing. Then find out. Derek's eyes burned. You've got the best cyber specialist in the Bureau and access to their entire network. Find me a name. Martinez was already working. The communications are encrypted with unique identifiers. If I can trace the origin point. She typed furiously. It's bouncing through multiple servers. Geneva, Singapore, Johannesburg. But there's a pattern. A home location for the primary terminal. Where? Martinez went still. You're not going to believe this. Where? She looked up, her face pale. Washington, D.C. Specifically. She swallowed. The Pentagon. The silence stretched for an eternity. That's impossible, Torres said. The Foundation can't be run from inside the Pentagon. Security protocols. Security protocols designed by who? Derek's voice was hollow. The Foundation has been operating for decades. They've had time to infiltrate every level of government. But the Pentagon makes perfect sense. Derek started pacing. Military resources, intelligence, access, global reach. If you wanted to run a shadow organization, there's no better cover than the most secure building in the world. We can't just walk into the Pentagon and start making arrests. Torres shook her head. We need more. A name, a position, something concrete. Martinez, can you trace the specific terminal? I'm trying, but Pentagon systems are the most secure in the world. Even with the access key, I'm hitting firewalls I've never seen before. Keep trying. There's something else. Martinez pulled up another file. Personnel records. The Foundation keeps detailed files on everyone who's ever worked for them, including, she scrolled, including their own leadership. You found profiles on founding members. Partial profiles, encrypted differently than the rest. Heavy redaction, but... Martinez's eyes widened. Wait, this can't be right. What? Founding Member 01. The one who authorized all those operations. According to this file, he's been running the Foundation since 1987. 1987, that's almost 40 years. And he's still active, still issuing orders. Martinez looked up. This person has been operating in the shadows longer than most of us have been alive. Derek moved to the screen. Can you pull any identifying information? Military background, senior rank, multiple tours overseas before going dark in the early 80s. Martinez frowned. Connections to CIA, NSA, and Special Operations Command. This person had access to everything. A name. Give me a name. It's redacted. Every direct reference is... Martinez stopped. Hold on. There's a metadata trace. Old system. They didn't clean it properly. She typed. Cross-referencing military records from that era. Senior officers with access to all listed agencies. Currently connected to Pentagon operations? The screen flickered. A photograph appeared. Derek's legs buckled. No, he breathed. That's impossible. Sarah looked at the image. An older man, mid-70s, silver hair and sharp eyes. Distinguished. Commanding. The kind of face that belonged on military monuments. Who is he? Derek couldn't speak. Torres answered. That's General Richard Stone. Her voice was barely audible. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That's my uncle. The room erupted. Your uncle. Sarah grabbed Derek's arm. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs is your uncle. My father's brother, Richard. Derek's face had gone gray. He raised me after my father died, paid for my education, got me into the SEALs. He got you into the unit that was ambushed in Afghanistan, Torres said slowly. He couldn't have known. He was devastated when my team was killed. He testified at the congressional hearing to protect himself. Torres was already on her phone. He testified to control the narrative, to make sure the investigation went nowhere. This is insane. My uncle loved my father. They were close. Siblings kill each other all the time. Martinez's voice was quiet. For money, for power, for ideology. This isn't ideology. This is my family. Your family ordered your father's murder. Torres held up her phone. I'm cross-referencing now. General Richard Stone was stationed at the Pentagon during every major Foundation operation. He had access to the intel that killed your team. He signed off on Captain Harlan's military discharge, the one that allowed him to join law enforcement. Derek looked like he'd been shot. He put Harlan in position, set up the entire network. And when your father got too close to exposing it, Torres trailed off. He killed his own brother. Sarah watched Derek process this. Watched the betrayal destroy something fundamental in his expression. Derek. He didn't respond. Derek. His eyes focused on her. Your uncle doesn't know we've accessed this server. He doesn't know we've identified him. He will soon. Then we use that time. Sarah stepped closer. We go to the media. Release everything. By the time he realizes what's happened, the whole world will know. It's not that simple. Torres shook her head. General Stone has connections at every major news outlet. He can suppress stories, discredit sources, bury evidence. Not all evidence. Sarah pulled the micro SD card from Atlas's collar. This is a copy of everything Harlan collected. Combined with Webb's testimony and the server data, it's enough to take down anyone. We need to get this to someone Stone can't reach. Derek's voice was steadier now, the soldier in him taking over. Someone who will publish regardless of consequences. I know someone. Martinez looked up. Independent journalist. Works out of Berlin. She's been investigating defense contractor corruption for years. Stone tried to have her discredited twice. She kept publishing anyway. Can you reach her? I can send her everything we have. Encrypted, untraceable. Martinez was already typing. If she gets this material, it'll be online within hours. Do it. There's one problem. Torres stepped forward. The moment this goes public, Stone will activate Protocol Omega. Everyone connected to the Foundation dies. They're going to die anyway. At least this way their deaths mean something. And what about you? Torres looked at Derek. Stone will come for you first. His own nephew exposing his crimes. He'll want to silence you personally. Let him try. Derek, this isn't a game. We're talking about the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. He has resources you can't imagine. I have something better. Derek looked at Sarah, at Atlas, at the young dogs watching from the corner. I have a reason to fight. Torres was quiet for a moment. All right. Martinez, send the data. I'll mobilize every agent I can trust. But we need to move Commander Stone and Lieutenant Mitchell to a secure location before... The lights went out. Ghost barked sharply. Spirit growled. Atlas struggled to his feet, positioning himself in front of Sarah. Martinez! Torres drew her weapon. It's not me. Someone cut the power from outside. Everyone down! The window exploded. Gas canisters hit the floor, spewing thick white smoke. Sarah's eyes burned, her lungs seized. She grabbed Atlas, dragging him toward the back of the house. Sarah! Derek's voice somewhere in the chaos. I'm here. Gunfire erupted not at them, but outside. Torres returning fire at targets Sarah couldn't see. Back door. Derek materialized from the smoke, grabbing her arm. Martinez has a secondary vehicle. They ran. Ghost and Spirit stayed close, navigating by scent through the blinding gas. Atlas limped behind Sarah, his harness supporting his weight. The back door burst open. 2 men in tactical gear blocked their path. Ghost was faster. The young shepherd hit the first man's arm, teeth sinking deep. Spirit took the second, her jaws closing on his ankle. "Go!" Derek shouted. Sarah ran past the struggling figures, Atlas at her side. The secondary vehicle was parked in the alley, a black SUV with tinted windows. Martinez was already behind the wheel. "Get in!" Sarah threw open the back door, helped Atlas inside. Derek followed, slamming the door as bullets sparked off the vehicle's armored exterior. "Drive!" Martinez floored it. The SUV rocketed down the alley, bouncing over debris, scraping against walls. Behind them, pursuers piled into vehicles of their own. "We've got company," Sarah shouted. "I see them." Martinez yanked the wheel, sending them careening onto a main street. 3 vehicles. Maybe 4. Can we outrun them? In Denver, traffic doubtful. Derek pulled out his phone. "Torres, where are you?" Static. "Torres. Nothing. She's not responding." Derek's face hardened. "They got her. Or she's still fighting." Sarah looked back at the pursuing vehicles. "We can't let them catch us. If they get the evidence is already sent." Martinez swerved around a truck. "I uploaded everything to my journalist contact 5 minutes before the attack." "You did what?" "I'm a cyber specialist commander. I don't wait for permission." Martinez grinned grimly. "By now, half of Berlin has seen the files. In an hour, it'll be global." Derek processed this. "Then why are they still chasing us?" "Because Stone wants you dead, your family, you're a witness, and you're the face of his betrayal." Martinez checked the mirror. "He'll burn down half of Denver to kill you." "Then let's not be in Denver. And go where his resources are concentrated here. Because that's where he expects us to be." Derek pulled up a map on his phone. "Head north. There's a private airstrip 40 miles out. I know the owner." "You want to fly?" "I want to disappear long enough to plan our next move." Martinez hesitated. "I'm supposed to turn you over to federal custody." "Federal custody is compromised. Stone has people everywhere." "Then who do we trust?" Derek looked at Sarah, at Atlas, at Ghost and Spirit pressed together in the back seat. "Each other, that's it." Martinez made her decision. "Hang on." She yanked the wheel, sending them onto a highway ramp heading north. The pursuit vehicles followed. The chase lasted 43 minutes. Martinez drove like a woman possessed, weaving through traffic, taking exits at the last second, using every trick she'd learned in bureau pursuit training. The armored SUV absorbed multiple hits from pursuing vehicles. Derek provided suppression fire from the back window, forcing their pursuers to keep distance. But they were running out of road. "Airstrip's 2 miles ahead," Martinez reported. "But we've still got 3 vehicles on us. Can you make it?" "I can try." The SUV's engine screamed as Martinez pushed it harder. The pursuers accelerated, closing the gap. "They're going to ram us. Not if I can help it." Martinez spun the wheel. The SUV fishtailed, kicking up gravel as it left the highway onto a dirt road. The lead pursuit vehicle tried to follow and flipped, rolling 3 times before coming to rest in a ditch. 1 down. The remaining 2 vehicles adjusted, flanking the SUV on either side. "They're trying to box us in." Derek shifted his aim, taking out the front tire of the left vehicle. It swerved wildly, crashing into a fence. 2 down. The final vehicle pulled alongside its occupants, aiming automatic weapons at the SUV's windows. Down. Everyone ducked as bullets shattered the rear windshield. Atlas snarled. The Malinois, wounded and exhausted, hauled himself toward the broken window. His teeth bared, he lunged at the nearest shooter. "Atlas, no!" But Atlas was already moving. He caught the shooter's arm, dragging him half out of the pursuit vehicle. The car swerved. The shooter screamed. Derek took the shot. The driver went down. The pursuit vehicle careened off the road, rolling into a drainage ditch. Atlas hung from the broken window, still gripping the shooter's arm. Sarah grabbed his harness, pulling him back inside. "Crazy dog!" She was crying and laughing. "You crazy, beautiful dog!" Atlas licked her face. "Airstrip ahead," Martinez shouted. The small runway appeared through the dust, a single hangar, 2 aircraft, and a man standing beside an old Cessna. Martinez skidded to a stop. "Out, everyone out." They piled from the vehicle. Derek's contact, a weathered pilot in his 60s, was already warming up the Cessna. "Stone, you look like hell." "No time for pleasantries, Frank. Can you fly us out?" "I can fly you to Canada if you've got the fuel money." "I've got more than money." Derek helped Sarah and Atlas toward the aircraft. "I've got the story of the century." Frank grinned. "I always knew you'd bring me something interesting." Ghost and Spirit bounded into the Cessna, followed by Atlas in Sarah's arms. Derek climbed in last, turning to Martinez. "Come with us." "I can't. Someone has to stay. Coordinate with Torres if she's alive. Make sure the evidence spreads." Martinez extended her hand. "You're a good man, Commander. Make them pay." Derek shook her hand. "Count on it." The Cessna's engine roared. Within minutes, they were airborne, leaving Denver's chaos behind. Sarah looked out the window at the shrinking landscape below. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere Stone can't reach us. Somewhere we can plan." And then, Derek met her eyes. "Then we go to Washington, and we finish this." They landed in a small town in Montana as dawn broke. Frank had a cabin there off the grid, untraceable. The kind of place where people went when they didn't want to be found. "You've got food, water, and a satellite connection that can't be traced." Frank tossed Derek a set of keys. "I'll be in touch through the usual channels." "Thanks, Frank. I owe you." "You owe me a lot of things, Stone, but we'll settle up later." Frank climbed back into the Cessna. "Watch your back. Whoever you've pissed off, they're playing for keeps." "So are we." The Cessna took off, leaving them alone. Sarah looked at Derek. "What now?" "Now we rest. All of us." Derek knelt beside Atlas, checking his wounds. "He needs time to recover. So do we." "We don't have time. Stone knows we're alive. He's probably mobilizing everything he has." "Let him mobilize. He doesn't know where we are, and by now the whole world is seeing his crimes." Derek stood. "The best thing we can do is stay alive until public pressure forces action. And if it doesn't, then we go to Washington ourselves and drag him out of the Pentagon." Sarah almost laughed. "You make it sound simple." "It's not. Nothing about this is simple." Derek moved toward the cabin. "But we've made it this far. We can make it a little further." Ghost and Spirit ran ahead, exploring their new surroundings. Atlas limped after them, his tail wagging despite his wounds. Sarah watched the 3 dogs. 2 young ones, wounded, all survivors. "Derek." He turned. "Thank you." "For what?" "For finding us. For saving us. For—" She struggled to find words. "For not giving up." Derek was quiet for a moment. "I gave up for 3 years, he finally said. "Hid in the mountains, told myself it was over, told myself there was nothing left to fight for." "What changed?" "You crashed into my life. A ghost of a smile. Literally." "That wasn't planned." "Nothing important ever is." Derek extended his hand. "Come on, let's get inside before we freeze." Sarah took his hand. Together they walked toward the cabin. Behind them, the sun rose over the mountains. Ahead of them, the final battle waited. But for now, for this moment, they were safe. They were together. And that was enough. The world exploded within 48 hours. Martinez's journalist contact in Berlin published everything, every document, every communication, every name connected to the foundation. Within hours, international media picked up the story. Within days, governments scrambled to respond. Sarah watched the coverage from Frank's cabin Atlas, pressed against her legs. Ghost and spirit curled nearby. 17 arrests across Europe, the anchor reported, including 3 cabinet ministers and 2 intelligence chiefs. In the United States, calls for investigation have reached the highest levels of government. "They're not mentioning Stone," Derek said grimly. "They can't. Not yet. He's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. They need ironclad evidence before they touch him." "We gave them ironclad evidence. We gave them evidence of the foundation. Stone's name was redacted in most documents. The connection isn't explicit enough for prosecutors." Derek slammed his fist against the wall. "He's going to escape. After everything he's done, he's going to walk away." "Maybe not." Sarah pulled up a newsfeed on her phone. "Look at this." A press conference was starting in Washington. A woman stood at the podium, Torres battered but alive. "Special Agent Rachel Torres," Derek breathed. "She made it." Torres's voice filled the cabin. "The FBI has obtained testimony from multiple witnesses connecting General Richard Stone to the criminal organization known as the Foundation. Based on this testimony and supporting documentation, we are seeking authorization to arrest General Stone on charges including conspiracy to commit murder, treason, and racketeering." "She did it," Sarah whispered. "We ask General Stone to surrender peacefully and cooperate with federal authorities. If he does not, we are prepared to take whatever measures are necessary to bring him to justice." The feed cut to reporters shouting questions. Derek stared at the screen. "He won't surrender." "How do you know?" "Because I know him. Richard Stone has never surrendered in his life. He'll fight until the end." Derek grabbed his jacket. "And that's exactly what makes him dangerous." "What are you doing?" "Torres can't arrest him. Not really. Stone has too many loyalists in the military. The moment she tries to move on the Pentagon, he'll have 100 soldiers between him and any federal agent." "So what's the alternative?" Derek met her eyes. "I go to him, personally." "That's suicide." "It's the only way." Derek checked his weapon. "Richard knows me. He raised me. If anyone can get close enough to end this, it's family. He murdered your family. And I'm the only one who can make him answer for it." Derek's voice cracked. "Sarah, this has been coming for 15 years. My father, my team, my dog, everything I've lost traces back to Richard Stone. I have to face him. Not alone. I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. I'm telling." Sarah stood, Atlas rising with her. "We started this together. We finish it together." Ghost barked sharply. Spirit pressed against Derek's legs. "They want to come too," Sarah said. Derek looked at the dogs, his dogs who'd been with him through everything. "All right," he said quietly. "We all go." They drove through the night, stopping only for fuel and supplies. Torres had arranged transport from Montana to a military airfield in Virginia. From there, they would be escorted to the Pentagon under FBI protection. "Stone knows we're coming," Torres said over the encrypted line. "He's barricaded himself in his office with a handful of loyalists. The building is on lockdown." "How many men?" "Maybe 30. All special operations. All willing to die for him." "And the other soldiers?" "The ones who aren't loyal. Confused. Divided. Most of them had no idea their chairman was running a criminal empire. When the news broke, half the Pentagon went into shock. Can we get inside?" "I'm working on it." "But Derek?" Torres hesitated. "There's something you should know. Stone has been broadcasting messages to his supporters, claiming the evidence is fabricated, calling it a coup attempt. Is anyone believing him? Some. Enough to make this dangerous." Torres paused. "He's also been asking for you specifically. Says he wants to talk to his nephew before the lies destroy everything." Derek's jaw tightened. Then let's give him what he wants. The Pentagon at dawn was a war zone of confusion. Soldiers stood at checkpoints, their faces uncertain. FBI agents moved through corridors that had never seen federal law enforcement. The world's most secure military facility had become a battlefield of loyalty and doubt. Torres met them at the entrance. Stone's office is on the E-ring. He's got men at every approach. What about non-standard approaches? Derek asked. There's a maintenance corridor that runs through the lower level. It comes up near the command suite. We could... No. Derek shook his head. I'm not sneaking in. I'm walking through the front door. That's insane. It's the only way this ends clean. Derek looked at the building. Richard wants to talk. If I come in shooting, he'll fight to the death and take everyone with him. But if I come in as family, he might hesitate. He might do more than hesitate. Derek handed his weapon to Torres. I'm going in unarmed. Derek, I can't let you. You can't stop me. He looked at Sarah. Take care of the dogs. No. Sarah. I said no. Sarah stepped forward. You walk in there alone, you die alone. That's not happening. She's right, Torres said reluctantly. If you're doing this, you need backup. Someone Stone won't see as a threat. A civilian pilot and a wounded dog. Derek laughed bitterly. That's your idea of backup? A woman who survived everything Stone threw at her. A dog who took bullets protecting his handler. Torres met his eyes. There's power in that, Commander. More power than guns. Derek looked at Sarah. At Atlas standing despite his wounds, watching with those ancient knowing eyes. All right, he said. We all go. The walk through the Pentagon was surreal. Soldiers stepped aside as Derek passed their faces a mixture of confusion and recognition. Some saluted muscle memory overriding uncertainty. Others watched with suspicion, hands near their weapons. Sarah stayed close, Atlas limping beside her. Ghost and spirit had been left with Torres, too unpredictable for what lay ahead. Commander Stone. A colonel blocked their path. The general is expecting you. Then let's not keep him waiting. The colonel studied Sarah, then Atlas. She's not authorized to... She's with me. Derek's voice left no room for argument. The dog, too. The colonel hesitated. Sir, my orders are... Your orders come from a man who murdered a senator, betrayed his own country, and killed 7 Navy SEALs to cover his crimes. Derek stepped closer. If you want to be on the right side of history, you'll let us pass. The colonel's face went pale. He stepped aside. They continued. General Richard Stone's office was the inner sanctum of American military power. The man himself sat behind a massive desk. Silver hair, immaculate uniform, pressed eyes sharp and cold. He looked like what he was, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the most powerful military officer in the world. But Derek saw something else beneath the polish. Fear. Derek. Stone rose, spreading his arms. My boy, I'm glad you came. I'm not your boy. You'll always be my boy. Stone gestured to a chair. Please, sit. We have much to discuss. I'll stand. As you wish. Stone's eyes moved to Sarah, then Atlas. Lieutenant Mitchell, I've heard a great deal about you. And your remarkable dog. Sarah said nothing. You've caused quite a bit of trouble these past weeks. Stone sat back down. The Foundation has lost decades of work, valuable assets, important connections, all because you wouldn't accept your fate. My fate was to die in a helicopter crash. Sarah's voice was ice. Your man Harlan made sure of that. Harlan was overzealous. I never intended for you to suffer. A quick death, painless, dignified. That's what I ordered. How generous. I'm not a monster lieutenant. I'm a realist. Stone leaned forward. The Foundation exists because America needs protection from threats it can't acknowledge. The work we do, the hard work, the dirty work, keeps this country safe. Safe from what senators asking too many questions. Safe from itself. Stone's voice sharpened. Democracy is fragile, Lieutenant. It can't survive without people willing to make sacrifices in the shadows. My brother didn't understand that. He wanted transparency, accountability, all the things that sound noble but lead to chaos. Your brother wanted the truth. My brother wanted to tear down everything I'd built. Stone's mask slipped, revealing something ugly. 30 years of work. 30 years of keeping this nation secure. And William wanted to destroy it because he was too naive to understand what was at stake. So you killed him. I protected the mission. Derek's voice cut through the air. You killed my father. Stone turned to face his nephew. Derek, you killed my father. You killed my team. You killed my dog. Derek's voice was hollow, broken. Everything I've lost, every nightmare, every empty day, every year of hiding in the mountains, it all traces back to you. It traces back to necessity. Stone stood. I loved William. I loved you. But love isn't enough when the stakes are this high. What stakes? What could possibly justify murdering your own brother? The survival of the Republic. Stone slammed his fist on the desk. You think America's enemies stop planning because we follow rules? You think foreign powers respect our democracy? The Foundation does what no one else will. We protect this nation from threats that would destroy it. You protect yourself, your power, your secrets. I protect what matters. Stone's voice dropped. And yes, sometimes that means sacrificing what I love. You didn't sacrifice anything. Dad did. My team did. Titan did. Derek's fists clenched. You just gave the orders. Stone was quiet for a moment. I understand your anger. I even expected it. He reached into his desk drawer. Sarah tensed. But Stone didn't pull a weapon. He pulled a folder. Do you know why I raised you, Derek, after William died? Because I was your nephew. Because you were supposed to be my successor. Stone opened the folder. I saw your potential from the moment you were born. Intelligence, determination, the ability to make hard choices. You were everything the Foundation needed. I would never have joined you. You already did. Stone slid the folder across the desk. Every mission you ran as a SEAL, every target you eliminated, every objective you accomplished was sanctioned by the Foundation. You were our best operative, Derek. You just didn't know it. Derek's blood went cold. You're lying. I'm telling you the truth. Finally. Stone's eyes burned. Afghanistan wasn't a betrayal. It was a test. You were supposed to die with your team and emerge as a martyr. Instead, you survived and became a loose end. A test. You tested me by murdering 7 men. I tested your resolve, your loyalty, your willingness to do whatever was necessary. Stone shook his head sadly. You failed, Derek. You let grief consume you instead of channeling it into purpose. You hid in the mountains instead of becoming what you were meant to be. I was meant to be free. No one is free, not really. Stone stepped around the desk. But there's still time. Join me, Derek. Help me rebuild what's been destroyed. The Foundation can rise again stronger, cleaner, better, and you can be part of it. You want me to join the organization that killed my father? I want you to understand that your father's death was necessary. That everything I've done was necessary. Stone placed a hand on Derek's shoulder. You're my blood, Derek. My heir. The only family I have left. Derek looked at the hand on his shoulder. Thought about his father, his team, Titan. Thought about Sarah, Atlas, Ghost and Spirit. Thought about 15 years of grief and rage all leading to this moment. You're wrong about one thing, Derek said quietly. What's that? I'm not your family. Derek moved. His hand caught Stone's wrist, twisting it behind the general's back. His other arm wrapped around Stone's throat, applying pressure without crushing. Derek, Sarah shouted, I'm not going to kill him. Derek's voice was tight with controlled rage. But he's going to answer for what he's done. Stone struggled, but Derek's grip was iron. You think this changes anything? My men will... Your men are watching Torres's press conference right now. They're seeing the documents, the testimonies, the proof of everything you've done. Derek tightened his hold. By the time we walk out of here, every soldier in this building will know the truth. They'll never believe. They already do. Sarah held up her phone. Martinez broke through the Pentagon's internal communications. The evidence is being broadcast on every screen in the building. Stone's face went gray. You can't do this. We already did. Derek released him, stepping back. It's over, Richard. The foundation is finished. Your protection is gone. The only choice you have left is how you want to be remembered. Stone stood alone behind his desk, surrounded by the wreckage of his empire. I served this country for 50 years, he said quietly. I made hard choices so others wouldn't have to. And this is how it ends. Arrested by my own nephew. This is how it ends for everyone who thinks they're above the law. Derek moved toward the door. Torres is waiting outside. You can go with her peacefully, or you can make this harder than it needs to be. Stone looked at the door, at Derek, at Sarah and Atlas. William would be proud of you, he said finally. He always believed truth was more important than power. He was right. Maybe. Stone straightened his uniform. But he was also dead, and I'm still here. That counts for something. It counts for nothing. Derek opened the door. Goodbye, Richard. Torres entered with a team of federal agents. General Richard Stone, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, founder of the Foundation, was arrested without resistance. As they led him away, he looked at Derek one last time. This isn't the end, you know. There are others, deeper layers. The Foundation was just one piece of something much larger. Then we'll find them too. Derek met his uncle's eyes. However long it takes, however far we have to go, we'll find every last one of them. Stone smiled, a cold, knowing expression. I believe you will. That's what I always liked about you, Derek. You never know when to quit. He was gone. Dead. The aftermath was chaos. Arrests swept through Washington like wildfire. Senators, generals, intelligence officials, anyone connected to the Foundation found themselves in federal custody. The scandal dominated every news cycle for weeks. Derek watched it all from Torres's office, ghost and spirit at his feet. 37 arrests so far, Torres reported. More coming every day. Your uncle's testimony has been comprehensive. He's cooperating. Completely. I think he wants to be remembered as something other than a traitor. Torres paused. He's also asked to see you, multiple times. No. I thought you'd say that. Torres sat down heavily. There's something else. The congressional investigation has cleared your name, officially. Your record from Afghanistan has been corrected. Your team has been posthumously honored. Derek closed his eyes. 15 years. 15 years of carrying that weight, that guilt, that shame. They're also offering you your commission back, Torres continued. Full reinstatement, back pay, the works. I don't want it. What do you want, Commander? Derek looked at the dogs at his feet, thought about Sarah waiting in the recovery ward with Atlas. I want to go home, he said. Wherever that is. Torres nodded. I think you've earned it. Sarah was sitting beside Atlas when Derek found her. The Malinois had improved dramatically, his wounds healing, his strength returning. The veterinary team had declared him a miracle. He's going to be okay, Sarah said, not looking up. Some permanent damage to his back leg, but he'll walk, maybe even run eventually. That's good. The surgeon said he's never seen a dog fight so hard to survive. Sarah finally met Derek's eyes. I told him Atlas learned from the best. Derek knelt beside the bed, running his hand over Atlas's fur. Hey boy, how are you feeling? Atlas's tail wagged. His tongue licked Derek's palm. He likes you. Sarah observed. He has good taste. So do I. Derek looked at her, at this woman who'd crashed into his life and changed everything. Torres offered me my commission back. I know. She offered me a job too, task force on military corruption. Sarah paused. I turned it down. Why? Because I'm tired of fighting other people's battles. Sarah reached out, taking his hand. I want to fight my own, on my own terms, with people I choose. What does that look like? I don't know yet. She smiled. But I think it involves a cabin in the mountains and 3 very stubborn dogs. Derek's heart clenched. Sarah? I'm not asking for promises. I'm not asking for forever. Sarah squeezed his fingers. I'm just asking for a chance to see what we could be. Ghost appeared in the doorway, Spirit beside him. They both barked once. They approve, Sarah said. They always had good instincts. Derek stood, pulling Sarah to her feet. I have a cabin in Colorado, he said. It's isolated, cold, probably needs repairs after being abandoned for weeks. Sounds perfect. It's not much of a life to offer. It's more than I had before I crashed into your mountain. Sarah stepped closer. It's enough, Derek. It's more than enough. He kissed her. It was gentle at first, tentative questioning, then deeper, more certain. Atlas's tail thumped against the hospital bed. Ghost and Spirit wagged their own tails. When they finally broke apart, Sarah was crying. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. She laughed through her tears. For the first time in years, absolutely nothing is wrong. 3 months later, the cabin had been restored. Derek and Sarah had rebuilt it together. New roof-reinforced walls, expanded space for 4 dogs who refused to be separated. Atlas had recovered beyond anyone's expectations. His limp remained a permanent reminder of what he'd endured, but it didn't stop him. He ran with Ghost and Spirit through the mountain meadows, teaching them the things only an experienced canine could know. Sarah had started consulting for various agencies, offering her expertise in aviation security and counter-corruption. She worked from home, mostly taking only the cases that mattered. Derek trained dogs. It had started small, helping a veteran in the nearby town with his service animal. But word spread, and soon people were coming from across the region seeking the reclusive seal, who could connect with animals in ways others couldn't understand. You're becoming famous, Sarah teased one evening. I'm becoming useful. Derek scratched Ghost's ears. There's a difference. Torres called again. They want you to testify at the congressional hearing. I already gave my statement. They want more. The investigation keeps expanding. Stone's deeper layers comment has everyone paranoid. Derek looked out the window at the setting sun. Let them be paranoid. We did our part. Did we? Sarah moved beside him. Stone said the foundation was just one piece of something larger. There's always something larger. Another conspiracy. Another threat. Another shadow to chase. Derek pulled her close. But we can't spend our lives looking for monsters. At some point, we have to live. Is that what we're doing? Living? I think so. Derek smiled, a real smile, the kind she'd rarely seen. For the first time in 15 years, I think I'm actually living. Atlas limped over, pressing his head against Derek's leg. Ghost and Spirit followed, forming their usual protective circle. They're a real pack now, Sarah observed. All 4 of them. All 6 of them. Derek looked at her. If you count us. Always. The phone rang at midnight. Derek answered without thinking, his SEAL instincts still sharp despite months of peace. Commander Stone. A voice he didn't recognize. Who is this? A friend. Someone who's been watching your work with great interest. Derek's blood chilled. I don't know what you're talking about. You exposed the foundation, brought down General Stone, changed the balance of power in ways most people can't comprehend. The voice paused. That takes a certain kind of skill, a certain kind of courage. What do you want? To offer you a choice. The same choice your uncle once offered, but with different terms. I'm not interested in joining any organization. I'm not offering membership. I'm offering partnership. The voice grew warmer. There are others like you, Commander. People who've seen the darkness and refuse to become part of it. People who want to protect the innocent without becoming the monsters they fight. And you represent these people. I represent possibility. The possibility of a different kind of fight. One where you choose the battles, set the rules, and answer only to your own conscience. Derek was quiet for a long moment. I'll think about it. That's all I ask. A pause. Goodbye, Commander Stone. We'll be in touch. The line went dead. Sarah appeared in the doorway, Atlas beside her. Who was that? I don't know. Derek set down the phone. But I have a feeling we'll find out. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Derek looked at her, at the woman who'd survived everything and still found the strength to hope. I think it's the next thing. He pulled her close. But whatever it is, we'll face it together. Atlas barked once. Ghost and Spirit echoed him. The pack agrees, Sarah said. The pack is always right. They stood together at the window, watching the stars emerge over the mountains. Outside, the world continued its endless turning. Conspiracies rose and fell, power shifted. New threats emerged from the darkness. But inside the cabin there was warmth. There was love. There was a family forged in fire and tempered by loss. Derek had spent 15 years waiting for the chance to make things right. Now finally, he understood the truth. The waiting was over. The healing had begun. And whatever came next, he wouldn't face it alone. 1 year later, the headlines told a different story. Stone K-9 Academy graduates first class. Former SEALs Dog Training Program helps 100 veterans. Pilot Officer Mitchell receives Medal of Valor. Sarah framed the articles and hung them in the cabin's main room, next to photographs of everyone who'd been part of their journey. Torres, now Deputy Director of the FBI's new Anti-Corruption Task Force. Martinez running cybersecurity for a major humanitarian organization. Frank still flying supplies to remote locations, still ready to help when needed. And 4 dogs captured in a moment of pure joy. Atlas, Ghost, Spirit, and Phoenix, the new puppy Sarah had rescued from a military training program that had been shut down. We're running out of wall space, Derek observed. Then we'll build more walls. Sarah added the newest article, a profile of their work with veteran support dogs. This matters, Derek. All of it. I know. Do you? Sarah turned to face him. A year ago you were hiding from the world. Now you're changing it. We're changing it. Together. Yes, Sarah smiled. Together. Atlas limped over Phoenix, bouncing at his heels. The old Malinois had taken the puppy under his wing, teaching her everything he knew. She's got his spirit, Derek said, watching them. She's got all their spirits. Sarah knelt, letting Phoenix lick her face. Ghost's courage, Spirit's intelligence, Atlas's heart. That's a lot for one puppy to carry. She's not carrying it alone. Sarah looked up at him. None of us are. Derek helped her to her feet. I got another call last night. The mysterious voice. Same one. They want to meet, face to face. Are you going? Derek considered the question. A year ago, he would have said no. Would have retreated deeper into isolation, convinced that the fight was over, that he'd done enough. But that was before Sarah. Before the dogs. Before he'd learned that healing wasn't about hiding, it was about moving forward. I think I am, he said finally. Should I be worried? You should always be worried. That's what keeps us alive. Derek kissed her forehead. But you should also know that whatever I do, whatever I face, I'm coming home. Every time. No matter what. Promise. Promise. Atlas barked once confirmation. Ghost and Spirit joined in. Phoenix, not wanting to be left out, added her own puppy howl. Sarah laughed. I think that settles it. The pack has spoken. They stood together surrounded by dogs and memories, and the quiet certainty that they'd found something worth protecting. Outside, the mountains rose against a perfect blue sky. Inside, 4 dogs curled together by the fire. And somewhere in the vast, complicated world beyond their cabin, new battles waited. But for now, for this moment, there was peace. There was family. There was love. And that was enough. That was everything. Bate. The camera pulls back from the cabin, revealing the vast wilderness surrounding it. Sarah's voice carries over the final images. A year ago, I was shot down over these mountains, left to die in a blizzard with my wounded dog. I thought it was the end of everything. Instead, it was the beginning. I found a man who'd lost as much as I had, dogs who loved without condition, a purpose that went beyond survival. I found home. Not a place, a pack. A family forged in the worst circumstances and tempered by everything we'd endured together. If you're watching this and you feel lost, remember your pack is out there somewhere. Maybe it's one person. Maybe it's a dog who refuses to give up on you. Maybe it's a stranger in a storm who decides you're worth saving. You just have to survive long enough to find them. And when you do, hold on tight. Because the world is full of people who want to tear us apart. But love, real love, the kind that crosses species and defies logic, is stronger than any conspiracy. Stronger than any storm. Stronger than death itself. Final text on screen. Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell was awarded the Medal of Valor for her role in exposing the Foundation. She continues to work as a consultant for anti-corruption agencies worldwide. Commander Derek Stone founded the Stone K9 Academy, which has trained over 200 service dogs for veterans suffering from PTSD. He married Sarah in a private ceremony at their mountain cabin. Atlas served as ring bearer. Ghost and Spirit were best men. General Richard Stone was convicted on 47 counts, including treason, conspiracy to commit murder, and racketeering. He died in federal custody 3 years into his sentence, never having spoken to his nephew again. The Foundation was formally dissolved. Its remaining assets were seized and used to fund veteran support programs across the country. Atlas lived to the age of 14 surrounded by his pack until the very end. His legacy continues in every dog trained at the Stone Academy. Ghost and Spirit went on to become the first dual-certified therapy and detection dogs in Colorado history. Phoenix the puppy, Sarah rescued, became the Academy's lead demonstration dog and mother to 3 litters of service animals. Sometimes the greatest victories aren't won with weapons. They're won with loyalty, courage, and the unbreakable bond between humans and the animals who love them. The storm that tried to kill Sarah Mitchell gave her everything worth living for. And the SEAL who found her learned that saving one life could redeem 1,000 losses. That is the power of hope. That is the strength of love. That is the miracle of survival. The end.